Hi Greg, lovely to meet up with you once again and spend the day at the range discussing the system and obviously how it applies to both you as a player and a coach and student of the game. If we just have a little look at the things that we talked about in regards to your game, it was really about changing things on the floor at setup, using the ball position, handle location, etc. as a variable to give you the type of results that we were looking for. The swing itself's come on a treat since we first got together. I like the way you get to P4. The first move down, really nice. Getting back into flexion, much better than you used to. Club starts to come out in front of the hands a little bit too much at that point. And then as we come through the ball, you can see the club exits just a fraction beneath the plane. Now remember, the changes that we made related to you hitting more of a substantial draw in practice. Now the shots that you were hitting at the start of the session were pretty much in line. They did tend to have a little bit of a draw bias, but not quite as substantial. You were talking about wanting to see a little bit more shape. So the club's very much in line with the hands at 6. If we look at it from face on, from P6 through to P7, there's a slight flexing of the left wrist, if you will. The left wrist goes into a little bit of a cut position. The overtaking rate on the club is a little bit high, and as a result that's causing the club to exit slightly below the plane line and keeping the face a little bit too open to the path to hit a substantial draw. So was it a bad move? Was it producing bad shots? Not necessarily, but it wasn't creating the sort of shape that you wanted to see in practice. So what we talked about was the positioning of the ball and the positioning of the handle, and how you have to make it suit what you want to do with the shot. So we were using the spectrum of ball positions, and each time we move the ball back, the address plane line moves further to the right. The angle of attack is going to be more downward. And therefore, as we get right to the back of the spectrum, we're going to be having a plane that's shifted more to the right, an angle of attack that's going to be more downward, and that in turn is going to be conducive to hitting much bigger draws than we would hit from further up in the stance. So you're using the ball location and the handle location to give you a little bit more in to out and adjust things on the floor rather than trying to do it with a swing all the time. So moving the ball back, affecting the address baseline, the address plane line should I say, changing the angle of attack and producing more of an outward hit. So when we made those changes, the handle is a little bit more forward at P7. The overtaking rate has been curtailed slightly. And then when viewed from down the line, we see that the club is slightly deeper at the top. It's much more in at P6. And then on the way through, we're going to hit out at the golf ball more than we were doing at the start of the session. Now, depending on what sort of shape you want to hit, depending on where you are on the golf course and the situation you're in, would depend on, what variable you would use. In regards to your driver, we talked about a similar change. We wouldn't necessarily move the ball back too much because that would have us hitting down too much. It would take loft off the club, etc, etc. So what we did with the driver, we just pushed the hips forward a little bit. We moved the handle up and forward a little bit. and those changes in turn were helping keep the plane out to the right. And then we just strengthened the right hand grip. What we noticed when we first started to hit the ball with the changes that we prescribed, the club was coming in slightly too open. So we were hitting out of the golf ball, but we had a club face that was slightly open to that path. So then we just strengthened up the right hand grip, moving pressure point 3 slightly more underneath the grip at P1, and that in turn helped square up the club face to the path a little bit more. So all we're doing is we're using variables. We didn't have to change the swing a great deal, but we were using the system and we were using variables to give us the ball flight that we were looking for. So it was a systematic approach to improving the amount that you're going to hit, that you're going to draw the golf ball, and you can use that as much or as little as you like. You got the images across of the way we can set the mat up to allow you to practice using variable ball positions to give you different flights, different shapes, more draw, less draw, etc., etc. The balls laid out on the mat, we were talking about turning the corner during your session, is a really useful tool to use for students. If you've got a player who's stuck inside, you want him hitting balls on the front side of that circle. And if you've got a player like yourself who wants to hit more of a substantial draw, then obviously you want to spend some time moving the ball back in the circle. Really enjoyed your company, really enjoyed the way the session worked as well. I thought the first section of the session, where we were going through the questions that were arising from the book, was very beneficial for yourself. I found that sort of thing really beneficial for me as a coach as well, because it's sort of, there's nothing better than being asked questions about what you're teaching. Really enjoyed your company as always. Hope you had a safe journey back. Hope the family are well. Have a great sort of Christmas. I know it's a while off, but I won't see you before then. Have a great Christmas. Have a great 2015. If there's anything I can help you with in the meantime, feel free to send me some footage or drop me an email with any questions on. And then obviously we look forward to hopefully meeting again in 2015, be it at an instructor training course or a private session once again over at Preston. Good luck with it, look after yourself, and like I said, I look forward to meeting you in 2015.